In 1817, the Bell family befell something terrible. One afternoon, John Bell returned home after shooting an animal he described as a dog with the head of a rabbit. Later that night, the family of 7 heard scratching noises all around the house, and as the night went on, the scratching turned into chanting, and the Bell boys went outside to find absolutely nothing. And the house was never silent again. As time went on, the presence got louder, and it developed a voice that could carry conversations, and it named itself Kate. And Kate targeted John Bell and his daughter Betsy the most. And Kate often said, described her hatred for John, and she always told of her need to kill John. And one day, John was found poisoned in a coma. This story was retold by Joe Nickel from a critical essay from the Skeptical Inquiry, and it is also known as America's Best Poltergeist Case, or the Bell Witch Poltergeist. So not confirming that I believe any of this stuff is real, today I'm going to tell you what a poltergeist is, another poltergeist case, and some information about people that try to stop the evil spirits. So what is a poltergeist? According to the U.S. Catholic by Tim Townsend, a poltergeist is when an individual returns from the dead and performs acts of mischief like throwing chairs and stuff like that. And it's a German word that means noisy ghost. And in an article by Michelle Lipka from Pew Research, it seems kind of weird, but 18% of Americans said that they have seen a ghost. So now that you know what a poltergeist is, I'm going to tell you another poltergeist case. So the Enfield poltergeist case is also a really famous one. From 1977 to 1979, Peggy Hodgson and her 4 children experienced disturbances in their home. And Margaret and Janet, the 2 daughters, were playing with an Ouija board, and apparently it unleashed something inhuman into their home. And a couple days later, the family was all inside one room, and then a drawer covered the door, and the family was locked inside, and the police had to come help them, and they didn't know how it all happened. And then Peggy, their mom, knew that something was strange was happening with their family. So the media became really interested in their story, and then investigators came from all over to try and help them. And the presence that was inside the house seemed to target the 11-year-old the most, Janet. And some stuff that happened to her, there was an old man that died in the house, and then he seemed to take over her body. And then when this happened, her voice would be transformed into a deep growl. And also there's a famous picture of Janet seeming to be floating in her bedroom. And this article was retold by was a story retold by Joe Nickel from the Skeptical Inquiries. And this is a really famous poltergeist, and it was remade into the movie Conjuring 2. And the world is amazed and confused and terrified at the same time at this story. So now that you know another poltergeist case, I'm going to tell you how the poltergeists are solved. So there are a few people that are brave enough to help the people that are affected, and how they rid of the demon is from an exorcism. And John L.R. Allen wrote for the National Catholic Reporter, the practice of exorcism reaches deep into the Catholic tradition, and the word exorcism comes from a Greek term meaning to pray or ask deeply, and it originally had nothing to do with demons. And the Pope is a person that performs these acts, is one person that performs these acts. And in an article by America, a 19-year-old with a history of possession flew into a rage on September 6th in the front row of the Pope's general audience in St. Peter's Square. And the Pope had to perform a 30-minute exorcism to try to get the demon out of her, and he didn't cure her fully, but this is just one exorcism case. In the last few minutes, I told you what a poltergeist is, another poltergeist case, and how people deal with these scary situations, and there was no way to tell